One of the things that people, I think, are going to be more likely to do today, again because of our high insurance rates, is to do fundamental things that may lower the long-term cost of insurance. And one of the things is to make sure, first of all, most of your building codes and landlord coverage codes are local, not national. So most of your local codes, like City of Houston, property is supposed to have electric smoke detectors, not battery operated, but electric. So you want to make sure at an absolute minimum you have everything that the local code requires a landlord to do. Some local codes, for instance, require a landlord to have a double cylinder deadbolt on every exterior door, require a peephole in the front door, and require the landlord to change locks every time the tenant changes out. So failing to do that, if there is a problem later, could result in more liability for the landlord. So that's why it's important to, at a minimum, always be in compliance with the local rules. The second part of this is to go beyond those local rules where it makes sense. Like, one of the neat things that's happening today with improved batteries is smoke detectors that don't need to have the battery replaced. And I've been a landlord for a long time, and what I've discovered, and I try and make sure despite the fact that I've suffered through a fire, I'm kind of a maniac about providing personal safety. So my rental units have several battery operated smoke detectors. And what I find is they start beeping when the battery gets low. And what do the tenants do? The tenants go and disconnect them. And you go into a rental unit, you find the lid of the smoke detector hanging down and the battery's gone, or it's hanging loose because people don't like the beep noise. And so I actually put in my leases and put in transmittal to my tenants that we will reimburse them 100% for the cost of replacing a battery, or we'll come out and put the battery in for them, so that people, at least will hopefully do that. I also put a fire extinguisher in every kitchen, a universal fire extinguisher. Fire extinguishers come in several types, but there's a type that's called a universal extinguisher, which can be used on a regular fire or grease fire, both. So, and usually they come with a little tag on them that provides some fundamental instruction. Sadly, most people do not know how to operate a fire extinguisher, but at least you've made the effort to give them a head start, and maybe they can do something before it turns into a bigger issue. But one of the things I've done is on my rebuild of the Heights property is I went in and put in a externally monitored fire system. So we have electric smoke detectors per code, we have battery operated smoke detectors, and we have an externally monitored smoke and heat system that's tied in with our burglar alarm system, so that hopefully we would get advance notice if there is a problem in the property. And we made sure to tell our insurance agent about these different upgrades that we made, and using all new appliances, new wiring, everything we can think of to tell the insurance agent to make sure they're in the best position to negotiate for us in terms of getting us at least a little bit better rate in the future.
You mentioned about making sure that you're following not only there's kind of some standard state rules, but that most property ownership, kind of rental related property rules are at a local level.
Yes.
Is that something that, usually just a local website, some kind of montgomerycounty.gov kind of website would list that out? What is the best way to go about making sure you're following that?
Well, there's two different ways to do it. One of them obviously is to do your own homework, and you can Google, City of Houston, Montgomery County, Harris County, and put in landlord rules and stuff like that. If you're in a big city like Houston, Richmond, Virginia, they're going to have city rules for, unfortunately, landlords occasionally need to evict people. A lot of times those are municipal or local rules, even in terms of taking your property back if you've got a tenant who's not paying, things like that. So yes, that's one search. The other one is using good rental management company, and the rental management company should be familiar with the rules in their geography to say to the landlord, hey, you need to make sure that you have a smoke detector in each room. Some of the local rules are even specific enough to saying you need to test the smoke detectors once a year and all that. And I mentioned the fact with the new battery life, what I'm doing on my properties is, in addition to electric smoke detectors, which are usually under codes, more modern building codes, is I add additional detectors. If they have gas central heat, I put in a carbon monoxide detector, which is different than a smoke detector, and I put one close to the central heating unit. If you have a gas hot water heater, I put one close to the gas hot water heater. And nowadays, these things are guaranteed for 10 years.
Oh, wow.
And so, whereas as landlords, we were haunted by tenants taking the batteries out when, after a year, and they start beeping, is we've got a longer run, and then the whole unit is taken back to the big box home supply stores, where they have an area where they take back things like this.